Hi. So today I want to chat about the benefits of being alone, how to alchemize it to expedite, to speed up the life that you want, and to speed up your level up if you're someone who's leveling up or that wants to level up in any way. How being isolated and being lonely or just being alone can benefit you. It's not just a con, it's not just something to be sad about. You can use it and alchemize it to your own benefit. While we're going into this topic, I'm sipping on some tea. Oh, wait, let me do it this way. I don't even think it shows. That's weird. It doesn't show the pumpkin. I feel like this is so backwards. Hold on. Okay. In the autumn spirit. And I got like some tools. I got this pot set while antiquing, and I'm obsessed. I usually keep it in my carry-out, but I brought out the special pots for this topic because it's a really, really important topic. Because I feel like we all kind of have felt alone or feel alone in a sense. And in the beginning, I looked at it in a negative light, and everything has a pro and a con to it. You just got to look for the pros sometimes, because sometimes the cons come automatically to us and we'll just see it as like, oh, this is just something that sucks about life. And it's through looking at the pros where we alchemize it. And alchemy is pretty much when you can like take something bad and turn it into good. I like my tea really sweet. Ready for some milk? Got some oat milk. Sometimes I put milk in my tea, not all the time, but most times, just to make it more of a. I need more sugar. I put so much sugar in my tea, and I forgot to bring my fancy spoons to pour the sugar. So I'm just pouring it right in and mixing it. We're almost there. I put so much sugar. I'm such a freaking sweet tooth. I'm pouring the whole thing in, but it wasn't all the way full. It was like I poured the amount that I didn't want to go over. And I was hoping that I would go under that amount of sugar, but what's a sweet tooth? Always a sweet tooth. Okay, this is better, but just getting the last bit. Okay. So I'm going to be going over 4 benefits of being alone. And if you can relate to this topic, or if you have anything you'd like to add to this discussion, feel free to comment it. Make sure to give this video a like so it can get out to more people who are going through this, so they can alchemize it and use this con to turn into their own pro. Okay. So one of the pros of being alone, and I just want to give a preface of my experience with this. I live alone. Probably shouldn't be saying this on the internet, but I live alone, and I grew up in a really big family. And once my foot broke last summer, you know when they say that when you're going through a tough time, you really see who's really real, who really cares about you, versus when you're going through a good time and you're like high energy. You know, anyone could like vibe with you then, but when you're really going through a tough time, you really see who's there for you and who supports you. And during that time frame, I saw a lot of things that I didn't want to see, and I chose not to ignore it. And you know, for some relationships I fought for them, but you know, through that experience, I just removed myself from a few people's lives, and it isolated me in a way. And at first I was like really depressed about it, but through it I've gained so many benefits that I want to share with you, so you can too. So one of them is learning who you are more and who you want to be without outside influences telling you and expecting you to be a certain way. When we have people in our lives, we might subconsciously sometimes do things for their approval. We might not be like living for people's approval, but sometimes we like, who doesn't want to have a pat on the back and to like be approved of, like to be accepted, in better words. And when you have people in your life, sometimes you might subconsciously be doing that. And through doing that, it's really hard to kind of like do things to differentiate yourself, because usually when you do that, it kind of like pushes that relationship away. It kind of like creates friction sometimes. And especially if you have nice girl syndrome, sometimes you can hide parts of yourself that aren't accepted by being surrounded by people that aren't like you. And you might not even accept those parts of you yourself, because they're not something that is acknowledged or gets a pat on the shoulder for in your community, or with the people that you surround yourself with, or the person that you spend so much time with. So like for me, for an example, let me take a sip. I don't want to give too many details, because when how do I share this example without giving too much information? Because some people like to secretly watch me and get offended if they think of that, if they see me just simply using my life as an example to help people. And you know what? I don't care, because it's not like I'm sitting here doing like content like bashing people. I'm legitimately trying to like give my personal experience to show you like how I've gone through it. So for an example, like if you have someone who is very conservative and is very judgmental, and you're someone that's like the opposite, that you love, you might hide parts of yourself that is the opposite, because, you know, it clashes. And you might not explore those parts of yourself that aren't accepted by that person, because you don't want that friction to happen. And through isolation, and just, you don't have to necessarily be alone, but just through spending some alone time in solitude, you can really develop who you truly are without the pressures of who you're supposed to be. Another example is if you're living with your parents as an adult, you may have them pressuring you to do certain things and to be a certain way. Granted, yeah, they are paying for your roof over your head, but through having them in your ear all the time, it's really hard to listen to your own inner voice and really go after what you truly want, because you have to go through the judgment of those parents. In some cases, there are some parents that do support what you want, but there are some parents that feel like they know what you want and they push you to do what they want. And some don't understand what you want. I mean, we live in an age where you can like make a ton of money online. The internet didn't even exist back in the day, so it makes sense to why like some parents don't support certain things. It's like they want the best for us, and they might not know the best for us. And for an example, if you're relying on your parents, like if you're spending a lot of time with that parent that is trying to push this view onto you, you're most likely going to do it, because if you don't do it, it causes friction. And that's something that I personally dealt with. And, you know, I love my parents and everything, but I personally dealt with like, because everyone has their opinions and your parents have every right to like help guide you. But sometimes if you don't pay attention, you might be neglecting your inner guidance. And that's there for a reason. So through isolating yourself and spending time alone, you don't have to worry about those outside noises, to where you might be neglecting your inner voice. You start to hear your inner voice when there's less outside voices. And through my isolation, I've developed into, I'm proud of who I've become, and I'm just getting started. But it's true, like being alone, I've kind of like learned to accept parts of myself that I know some people in my life in the past would have probably been like, that's odd. Like, I don't know, like that's a little weird. Like, I am proud of who I am, and like I stand strong in who I am through this isolation of learning. And I also have learned who I want to be, who I want to become, instead of looking at what everyone else is doing. And I think that's something to really acknowledge is a benefit of being alone and isolating yourself. It's just like learning what you want without other people telling you like what you want, without other people telling you what you should want and everything. Not saying that everyone does that, but sometimes people don't even have to do it. We'll know what other people look down on and what other people look up to. And sometimes that can stop us from what we truly want in life. Another benefit of being alone is learning what you want and not accepting what is given to you. So through isolating myself, I'm going to give an example with relationships. Like I've been single for a while, and through being single, I've learned what I still date and everything, but through being single, I'm learning what I want and what I don't want in a relationship. Now, if I was like not single, I wouldn't have the opportunity to go through all these trials and errors to really stand firm in what I want. Not saying that you don't know your desires if you're in a relationship, but it's through being alone that I'm learning what I want from a man, what I need from a man. And each time that I date someone new, I'm like becoming better at dating, I guess. Like, I'm not saying that I'm bad at dating, but it's just like I'm learning a lot through dating and through the experience of not like attaching myself to anyone that I'm dating. I'm learning more about what I don't want to accept, what I don't want to accept in a relationship versus like accepting what was given to me. Like there's lots of people that want to be in a relationship with me, but I'm not going to accept the bare minimal. I'm not going to accept half-assed behavior. I'm not going to accept someone that isn't going to add value to my life. So through that, I'm going to find someone, if I haven't already, who does add value to my life. I'm finding people who add value to my life. I'm finding people that don't waste my time through really sitting back and dissecting all of the things that I've been through that wasn't for me. You get to just like sit back and figure out like, is this for me? Is this not for me? Because a lot of times we're on autopilot in life because we have so many responsibilities as adults. Sometimes we're on auto, and not even just adults. Like in high school, I was on autopilot a little bit. I feel like when you have a lot of responsibilities, you can be on autopilot. And you're just taking some time to yourself, spending some time alone, you can learn like, is this something that I really enjoy? Is this something that I really want to do? Like, what do I want? And it goes back to what I mentioned in the last live stream and previous live streams is watching people that are where you want to be and that are where you want can help you fully understand like how to get it and see that it's make it more clear on if you want it or not versus like just seeing things that are given to you, accepting that and like being miserable because you haven't really sat back and dissected what you want, not just in a relationship, but in life. Another benefit of being alone is you have time to work more on yourself. And this one's my favorite benefit. This one is my absolute favorite benefit because I feel like that has truly made a huge difference in my life. I mentioned in one of the live streams that I've done that, you know, it was like tips on like how to level up. One of the tips on how to level up I gave, I think it was 6 ways to level up. It's on my channel if you want to check it out. If you just want to click on a live streams playlist, it's like one of the live streams. One of the tips I gave is you have to look decent, but it's best to look your best because with looking your best, you're treated your best. People, if you look important, people treat you as such. And through that, you gain more opportunity. You have people that just want to be around you because you're good to look at. And it's not politically correct, but that is the case. So through putting effort into how you step outside of a house, you really can have more opportunities and be treated better, get free stuff, like have people like offer like things to you. Like I've gotten so much free stuff just by looking good. Like, it sucks, and I don't think it's fair, but it is. It's just how humans are. We just, and not even just the opposite sex, like in terms of attraction, or just like anyone in terms of attraction. It's just like, it doesn't have to be necessarily like, oh, like it's true, like attracting, man, I can like get what I want. Like, no, it's like subconsciously, even women that are straight will like treat you better and give you more opportunities and want to be around you because you look good, versus if you look like you don't care about yourself when you step outside of the house, people are going to be like, I don't know if I want her to come to the party. Like, then this is just how some people think. And just to prevent that, look your best. In relations to that tip, I've been looking my best, and it was through like isolation that I've learned that I want to look my best every day. I didn't really have anyone in my life that was like that. I had like one friend that was getting into it, but not as deep as I've gotten in the realm of like divine femininity and like looking your best and whatnot. I've worked on myself. I'm working on myself physically, mentally, financially, and spiritually through this isolation. And you can too. Through isolation, you can work more on yourself physically, mentally, financially, and spiritually. You can build a deeper connection with God. You can build a better portfolio, a better savings account. You can take that time and like work more to make more money, or build a business. It doesn't even have to be something huge and extravagant to make income. There are teenagers who are selling on Amazon. There are teenagers that are making 5 figures through just simply selling, reselling, and drop shipping and whatnot. So if they can, you can. You can work on yourself mentally, really uncondition yourself with the things that are kind of stopping you from the life that you want and the person that you want to be. And this is getting into like the 4th tip that I'm going to get into next. And the last tip that the last thing that I want to mention is a great benefit to being isolated. But before I even get into like deeper into mentality and unconditioning and everything, you can also work on yourself physically. You can take this time to exercise, and not just exercise, but spend time like focusing on your health, focusing on what you're putting into your body, because your body is the vessel of your I'm gonna sound a little hippie here, but like your body is the vessel of your soul. Like, this is something that you're gonna have forever, and like the things you put in it does matter. And sure, like have a burger, have like fries, eat junk food if you want, but it's like you can really be in a completely different place in like 30 years through just simply making conscious decisions on what you're eating. Like, sometimes the reason why you're having sometimes you could be in a bad mood because you're having a vitamin deficiency. I saw a case saying like how zinc, if you're low on zinc, I was watching it on YouTube and I looked into an article that said like it could simply be a zinc deficiency sometimes to why some people are depressed. But the doctors won't tell you that. They'll just like send you to therapy and give you like depression pills. But sometimes it could just simply be a vitamin deficiency. So really look into like what are you deficient in and try to like implement that in your diet, because even though people aren't talking about it doesn't mean it's not important. Like, look into what your body needs and things that can help your body, but whatever things are wrong or like malfunctioning with your body. Like, I have fish oils that I use on days where I have a lot of work to do, because fish oils help with, really stimulating the brain. And I also take zinc every day because, sometimes I have my depressed duck moments. And if I can, making sure I'm not zinc deficient can help me to like be a little bit less sad. You best believe I'm going to take that zinc. I also take, the woman's all-in-one vitamins sometimes. And then when I had COVID, I took a ton of garlic pills because it can fight this to fight COVID off, because I have a friend that studies natural medicine, and she learned that like the garlic actually really does fight off the, I don't know the word for it, but it fights off COVID. And I took a lot of garlic pills. There was like another thing that I took, and it really, I don't know if it sped up my recovery, but I do truly feel like it helps. There are vitamins, not just vitamins, but nutrients that you can get from food to help you to perform better in life, to make your joints feel better, to help you to concentrate more, to help you to be less hungry. Sometimes you're having a metabolism problem. There are vitamins that help you to fix your metabolism. There are not even just vitamins, but nutrients that you can just make sure to jam pack certain foods to help you to with the things that you're lacking. So through being isolated, you can really study and learn what your body needs. You can actually also see a doctor, and there are, I forgot what test it is, but I was watching a YouTuber and she got like a box. Basically, she just like swabbed her mouth and everything, and it told her everything that she is allergic to, like things that make her bloat, things that she shouldn't eat. And she found out like the majority of the things that she was eating was actually kind of like making her body in a worse condition. Things that everyone usually eats. She personally, her personal body couldn't eat cheese. Like if she ate cheese, then like certain parts of her body wouldn't perform as well. She would bloat, she would feel cramps, and just simply by removing certain things, she felt better. Like every body is different. Literally every body is different. So if I can figure out that test, what the test was called, I'm gonna try to see if I can find it tonight. I'm gonna link it down below in the description because I actually personally want to get it myself. So I'm gonna probably like end up doing that tonight as well, because I don't know everything that my body, I don't really know personally what I'm like, what makes me bloat and stuff. I just know that the problems I have and what can help them. I know sometimes I have like a brain fog because I'm like always learning and I have a lot of responsibilities in life. So sometimes I just kind of space out and it's hard for me to focus. So I take fish oil, and then sometimes, you know, I'm really sad, so I take zinc just for the sake of, and then most times when I'm on my feet a lot, like when I know I'm going to be working out and like lifting weights, I'll take calcium because calcium helps with your bones. So just things like that, really look into that. And that really is something you can take time to look into through being isolated. You can spend the time of being alone to learn more about your body, learn more about your physicality, so you can level up in that way. And that can lead to weight loss. That can lead to more energy to get the task done that you're procrastinating, to level up in life and create the life that you want. That can lead to a happier life because, you know, boosting your mood, because now you don't have these things in your body that is bringing you down, because there's certain foods that will literally lower your vibration. Maybe I should get the articles so you guys could look at it, because I feel like I can say it, but you guys really need to look it up to fully like see that the shit is real. Like I'm not just saying this out my butt cheeks. Like it's serious. You know, most times when I eat fast food, I'm just like in a sluggish mood. I'm not saying don't eat fast food, but I know that when I eat fast food, most times I'm in a sluggish mood. I want to take a nap. I'm not in a mood to do anything. I feel really lazy and I feel really like that. So me acknowledging that, it's like I'm really strategic when I eat fast food. I'm not going to sit here and eat a huge fast food meal before I have to do something. I know what can energize me and I know what depletes me physically. Also, I can take time. I've taken time isolating myself. I spend time working on my body, like going to the gym and learning what workouts I like to do. I don't mind lifting weights, but I personally love doing classes. Like I love classes that challenge me to do more than I would have done if I wasn't in a class. So taking time to work on your fitness, go and do yoga, like just doing simple, excuse me, the tea had me burp, doing something that can physically help you. This tea is going down. I want to get I want to I don't know why this song came in my head. How many is Malaysia and random songs just come in my head all the time. And the last thing that I want, the last benefit to being isolated and being alone, last way that you can alchemize, the last way I'm going to share, there's more ways, maybe I'll do a part 2, that you can like alchemize your loneliness and use it to speed up your level up and the life that you want, is you can spend the time that you're alone to uncondition yourself. As I mentioned, with mentally working on yourself, you can uncondition yourself. When you were born into this world, you didn't get to choose, maybe spiritually, I don't know what you believe, but we didn't really choose where we ended up and what we were taught to like, what we were taught to hate, how we were taught to love, how we were taught to communicate, what we were taught to fear, what we were taught to cherish. That was out of our hands. That has all been something that we were conditioned to be. And we all are different through the way that we were conditioned. And unless like you've unconditioned yourself, but it all starts with the way that you're raised. There's actually this nurture versus nature case. Look into nurture versus nature, first of all. But there's this case of a girl who was literally raised by feral dogs. And because she was raised by feral dogs, this is a human girl, she acts exactly like a feral dog. She basically behaved in like every mechanism of a feral dog she was. She didn't act like a human because that was the way that she was conditioned. The way that you're raised and the people that you're raised by, the environment you're raised in, is a huge part to who you are. And if there's things that you don't like about yourself, you can uncondition that. You can rewire your brain. I mean, you might have to work with someone to do that with you. But you could do it yourself. Maybe that's me speaking as a mindset coach, but you can do it yourself through learning the things that are conditioned in you and what you want to be like. A lot of the way that we love, a lot of the way that we are, the way that we communicate is through the way that we were conditioned. A lot of us, there are, the love languages, the 5 love languages, words of affirmation, words of affirmation. What are the 5 love languages? Words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, touch. What is the 5th one? Words of affirmation, quality time, touch, and acts of service are the 5 love languages. And most cases, your love language is what you lacked as a child, is what your parent didn't give you. It's what you wanted more from your parent. So knowing that a lot of the mechanisms that you carry isn't just because of you, it's something that was conditioned into you. Through being isolated, you can learn to uncondition that from yourself, and especially if you isolate yourself from people that also are like that, the people that conditioned you to be that way. It really gives you time to have that individuality to learn what parts of yourself you don't want anymore. Not saying you shouldn't accept yourself, but sometimes there are things that we were conditioned into us that are getting in the way of the life that we want. A lot of you want a certain life for yourself, and you're getting in your own way because you're not willing to change. You're so used to the way that you are. You don't want to change the way that you do things. And the only way to change things is to change yourself. And a lot of us are stuck with the way that we're conditioned because the way that we are conditioned is what we know. It's really hard to go from what you know and go into like something you don't know. To go from an unhealthy way of communicating, which you've known all your life, you're conditioned to, as an example, to communicate unhealthy, and to learn how to communicate in a healthy manner. A lot of people won't do that work. but you can. And through isolation, you have time to do that. Eli. Hey, Eli, welcome. We're chatting about the benefits of being alone. I'm on my 4th way, the last way, but I'll give a recap after pretty much in a few of all the ways that you can benefit from being alone. The fears that you have, the things that you believe, a lot of that is conditioned into you. There are people that accept the bare minimal. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you for that person, because I was the type of person that accepted the bare minimal. I was the type of girl that was so flustered at like a good morning text, and like I would let men waste my time, and I would allow behavior that I saw as a child was okay. That was the way that I was conditioned to think that it was okay. And I had to really, through isolation, I really sat back and I was just like, no, like, this is not what I want. This may be normalized where I was from, but this is not what's going to happen moving forward. And through isolating myself, I watched content creators, I watched people empowering women who teach how to have a better experience with dating and, relationships, and how to set yourself up for that. It's through isolation you can really move away from who you were conditioned to be and can become who you need to be to get what you want. To realize the faults that you have that may be getting in the way of the life that you want. Like if you grew up in an environment where your parents were toxic, you're probably toxic. And there's nothing wrong with being toxic, but if you had a toxic household, and like, let's say you just had one parent that was just like, that talked to you very mean and just like didn't respect you, like just talk to you any type of way, and you grow up, you might end up being that way because that's the way you were conditioned to communicate with people. So through isolation, you can learn like, maybe I need to work on the way that I talk to people. Like, even though this is like normalized, now that I'm alone, I can create my own normalization. Let me look up some people that can communicate in a healthy manner. Let me find some people that do have healthy relationships and who can like attract high quality relationships. Let me watch those content creators and see what they're doing. Let me learn exactly what I need work on, because what I was conditioned to do isn't law. What I was conditioned to be like it's not that there's anything wrong with you, but through acknowledging that there could be some things that you're conditioned to do that are getting in the way of what you want, and you'll never get what you want until you uncondition them from yourself, makes a major difference. And through isolation, that's what I've done. I've learned that I want to be someone that looks their best every day. And I've learned that I've always been someone that like is really girly, but I'm unapologetic about that now because I don't have any outside forces saying, oh, who do you think you are? Oh, like, where are you going? Who are you dressing up for? It's like through isolation, it's like I've learned to accept who I am and that it's normalized to me to look good every day. And if someone came at me sideways talking about who you looking good for, to me, like, you're crazy because like this is my normal. But if you were to ask me, if you were to see me like 3 years ago, it was like a different story. Before I isolated myself, it was like, oh God, like I can't do all this because these people are going to think that I'm like trying to do something. And like, this person might think that I'm like trying to steal a man. And like, I really don't want to bring any attention to myself. It's like, no, this is who I am. And like, I don't give flying flippity flapjacks what you think. And I've gained this attitude through isolating myself and learning that there's nothing wrong with the person that I am. And I know that the person I am is going to get exactly what I want out of life. I'm very intentional with the things that I'm learning to improve about myself and the work that I'm doing on myself. And through isolation, you can be too. Whatever faults that you have, whatever things that you're telling yourself, oh, well, I just can't exercise. I'm not the type of person to like going to the gym. Okay, find a way to work your body. Go on walks. Like, go to classes. Classes are fun. Like Zumba dance class is really fun. Start learning ways to change. If you don't like your results, you need to change your actions. And through isolation, you can really evaluate what actions need to be changed. And you don't have to worry about the pressures of other people's judgment of you changing. Because honestly, when you have people in your life that are used to a certain version of yourself, you're going to get pushed back when you change, because they're going to be like, this isn't you. Like, you always like let me, take advantage of you. What's going on? Like, it was never an issue before with me being this way. Like, why are you suddenly having boundaries? Like, it's just prepare yourself for that. But overall, most of you who are watching this video, I'm sure you've already gone through that, and that's why you're isolated. Isolation is not just a con. It can be a pro. You can use isolation to alchemize into the person that you want to be, because you can spend more time being intentional into becoming that person. You can spend more time being intentional into creating that life that you want, because with a lot of things going on in your life, you really have to prioritize a game plan on creating the life that you want. And if you're like spending too much time like on the phone all the time, or on social media all the time, or just like with people all the time, there's not a lot of time to really reflect. And reflection is one of my favorite activities to do alone. I sometimes do it in public. Like, I will be walking to my destination and I will be doing my audio diary, reflecting like, la la la, today I learned da 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 da, and I did. Dear Diary. Dear Dumb Diary. Wasn't it like a book called like Dear Dumb Diary? I will be just like reflecting on things. And it's through sitting down and isolating myself and reflecting, I'm learning so much about myself. And through learning more about myself, I can really like excel and level up. Like, there are some times where I'm doing things that I will hear a voice in my head. Like, I won't really hear a voice in my head, but there'll be something in my head that's just like, oh, like, that's just not normal. And then I'll have to remind myself, like, this is my normal. And through isolation, I can kind of like snap myself back into who I want to be, because I'm so used to like the people in my life that would probably give me pushback. So like sometimes, even though there's certain people that aren't in my life anymore, I will like still have like the thought of what they would think sometimes come to me. And through isolation, it's like the less I care. And like the more resilient I am to people that judge me for who I am. You become resilient and you become really confident in who you are when you spend more time with yourself. Take yourself out on a date. Take yourself out shopping. Like, take a night and just like really be in your thoughts, reflect. I'm actually thinking about creating something for you guys to reflect. Let's do some deep reflection in the future, because I have so many journal prompts that has helped me. There are a lot of free journal prompts on Pinterest. Just look up journal prompts on Pinterest. Go and pick out a journal prompt that you want to do. And if you don't like to write, I love writing, but personally, my hands kind of hurt after a while. I write a lot. Like, a journal prompt to me is like 10 pages. So sometimes I'll just take my audio on the audio app on the voice recording app on my phone, and I'll just like record myself and just like reflect that journal prompt on audio, and then I'll listen to it back sometimes, and it's just something that I can always go back to and reflect on, and it's really fun. You'll learn things about yourself through just doing some journal prompts, and again, they're free on Pinterest. Like, really fun journal prompts that'll make you sit there and just like realize things. And through realizing things, you advance in life. Lots and lots of benefits to being alone. And I challenge you to take them. Take them in and alchemize it. Because sometimes it's a blessing. If I wasn't isolated, if I wasn't being isolated right now, I don't think I would be who I am. Actually, there are times where I'm just like, oh, I miss like certain people in my life. But honestly, certain people who aren't in my life anymore, they probably wouldn't like the new me because I'm very unapologetic about the things that I was apologetic about because I was conditioned to be apologetic about certain things. Like, for an example, I've seen on TikTok, a lot of people are just like, don't humble yourself because people that tell you to humble yourself, they just can't handle your greatness. And like, I personally dealt with that where like, I've never been one to like, I mean, I am pretty humble, but I'm paying attention to the fact that like sometimes people, when it comes to isolation, if like relationships, I just want to say this to end it off. It's like if you're isolated because some relationships didn't work out, it's probably a blessing because those who are for you wouldn't leave you the more you become yourself. Those who are for you wouldn't dip the more you become yourself. Like if people have friction, never ending friction, and a problem with who you really are and the life that you want, the greatness that you want to be, the great things that you want out of life, if there's friction and people start to give you that sideways type of vibe, they weren't for you to begin with. And it may suck and you may be like, all those years for what? All that time for what? A lot of people like to do this where, and I've even done it myself, where it's just like, all this time I spent on this person and it's all going down a drain. We just have so much experience together. It's like life goes on. Sometimes chapters end and characters stay in that chapter. And if you're keeping people in, and then like sometimes if you keep people in a chapter where you become a different person, you can't fully thrive into becoming that person because that person will weigh you down. There are people that will be so used to who you are that the new person that you are will always be a problem. The new you will be a threat to someone that knows the old you, will always confuse someone that is used to the old you, will be something that a lot of people can't conceptualize. And that is why sometimes when you do level up, people have problems. It's because they're not used to you being that way. And if that's something that you've dealt with, I want you to remember that, like, just acknowledge that those that are for you will love this new you. Just because the relationships in the past didn't work out doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. It just means that those people aren't for you. If you become more authentic and you start to have boundaries and start to have standards, and let's say a guy doesn't want to mess with you anymore, he wasn't for you. He wasn't for you. Let's say you're a woman that wants someone to provide for her, and the person that you're dealing with doesn't want to be the type to provide. He wants to be 50-50, as an example. If you're sitting here like, oh, well, he's 50-50, he doesn't want that. So like, I can't do the whole, like, I can't really, have a man that gives me what I want. You could just simply find someone that can. Or let's say you want a friendship where your friend supports you and is there for you at your lows, not just your highs, but your lows. It's like, just because that friend that you had that you need to let go of because they low-key, you're realizing that they low-key aren't there for you at your lows, doesn't mean that there won't be people in the future that will be. Those that are for you will love who you naturally are. They will encourage you to be more of the way that you really are. They will encourage you to go after things that you want. Those that are for you will make you feel excited about life and the things that excite you, not make you want to retract who you are and what you want and make you feel like you got to hide and like, and that's not like a sub to anyone. Like, I don't really deal with that with my friends, but I have been dealing with it a little bit now. I don't think I've personally, my closest friends, they supported me. I want to make that clear because I think someone watching me misinterpreted that. My friends supported me, but I've dealt with people personally that haven't when I leveled up. And as I'm leveling up, I'm seeing the people that are retracting themselves from me and stepping back. And in the beginning, I was just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. do these things that are like making me better of a person. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should humble myself and not like, try to be the best version of myself. Because that's all I'm trying to do is be the best version of myself. I'm not trying to stunt on anybody. I'm trying to be the best version of myself for me. Just know those that are for you aren't going to be intimidated by you, aren't going to retract themselves from you, aren't going to make you feel like you should be less. If someone's making you feel like you should be less, it's better to be alone than to deal with someone that pressures you to be someone that you don't want to be, to live a way that you don't want to live. And it's hard. It's really hard in the beginning to really remove yourself from people that are pressuring you to be a certain way and to do certain things that you don't want to do, but it's necessary. Because if you don't get rid of those outside noises, sometimes you'll just never change, because it's normalized to be the way that you are. It's not normalized to step outside of who you are and become who you want to be unless you're making an effort to watch those people. And even if you do so, if you're surrounded by people that are whispering in your ear that what you're doing is unrealistic and what you're doing is too much and like what you're doing, it's like not, it's just like really pay attention to where you're spending your time and know that isolation actually is a must. Isolation is a must. You have to spend time with yourself to learn who you are and who you want to become. And let me just recap everything. I keep like, my cleavage keeps showing. It doesn't even look good. Like I burned myself right here. So I feel like it looks like a chest hair, but it's really like a burn. So I'm just like insecure when I cleavage. Freaking when I was like making the rose water, the rose oil, like one of the petals just like fell right on my chest. I was like, like why? And I always burn myself in obvious areas. I burned myself here once too. That's whatever, it'll go away eventually. But a recap of the benefits of being alone is learning who you are more and who you want to be without any outside influences telling you and expecting you to be a certain way. Another benefit is learning what you want and not accepting what is given to you, really evaluating what you truly want and not accepting what is given to you is something that's really important in creating the life that you want, because you will be given things that aren't for you. You will have people in your life that are fun but aren't for you and that are keeping you from the life that you want to live, that are influencing you in ways that are kind of like pulling you back from the way that the path that you're supposed to be on. And if you choose to just accept that, then how are you supposed to get what you want? You have to really evaluate if what you're given is something that it's like being at a restaurant. If you ordered filet mignon and the waitress brings you back a hot dog, you're not going to eat the hot dog. You're going to tell the waitress, I ordered filet mignon. So like, you really got to look at like what exactly you don't want and how to get what you want. Another benefit of being alone is you have time to work on yourself more physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially, which is awesome. Let me say, I feel like I'm getting hotter and hotter as time goes on. Like I'm learning so much. Like every day I spend time to like learn something new, multiple things. And I wouldn't have time to do this if I had a lot of friends, because I would be on the phone with them all the time. Like when I have friends, I have friends, but it's like I barely. But when I had a lot of friends, I'm like the type of friend that's just always there for you. I'm a listening ear. I give really good advice and everything. And I love spending time with my friends. I love spending time with people. So it's like I wouldn't really have as much time to work on myself spiritually, mentally, financially. If I had more of a social life, I wouldn't want to work as hard at things that require my time because I want to spend time with my friends. So I'm using this time where I'm like becoming a better version of myself to really just like work on those things. And, the people that are for me will come. And then the last benefit of being alone is you can uncondition yourself. You can really look at the ways that you are conditioned that are getting in the way of the life that you want. Through stepping away from the people and the environment that normalizes the things that are kind of like getting in the way of where you want to go, you can really dissect what you need to do and what you need to undo to get to where you want to get to. Look up nature versus nurture. And I will link not only the box, the kit to figuring out what you're allergic to and what is bad for your body, like the test kit to figure out what nutrients that are bad for you personally. I'm going to link that in the description tonight, as well as the video, because it's on YouTube, of the documentary of the girl that was raised by feral dogs, and how her simply being raised by dogs, she literally acts like a dog. The people who raised you, the environment you're raised in, you probably picked up those mechanisms, and some of those mechanisms aren't going to take you to where you want to go. You have to uncondition yourself. Under isolation, it gets done. So that is all for today. Let me know if you want me to do a part 2. Comment what your opinion is on this. Comment what your intake of this topic is. I'd love to hear your personal experience with isolation and how you've been handling it, and what way are you excited to alchemize isolation. See you in the next video.